Curling iron v flat iron. I'm going to be using the exact same curling technique with both of these tools, showing you the differences between the two looks and showing you how you can create that beachy, effortless curl vibe with either or of these tools depending on which one you have. So let's get into it. Hi and welcome back to my channel, or hello and welcome if you are brand new here. My name is Chloe Swift. I'm a professional hairstylist and hair care expert, and if you don't already, make sure you subscribe because I bring you videos like this every single week, either reviewing brand new tools and just showing you the best tips and tricks when it comes to hairstyling. Our choice of curling iron is the GHD Classic Curl Iron. This is just a go-to for me. Like, the curls, you can rely on them, they last so well. Use this tool in particular for years. This is the 26mm iron. If you're in the US, that's about roughly 1 inch. So you will get a slightly tighter result with this 1 inch curling iron. But yeah, it is honestly such a go-to for creating like a multitude of curls. But as I said, today we're just focusing on a beachy kind of more wave look. And then flat iron of choice is the GHD Chronos. Again, a go-to flat iron that I choose and that I love, and yeah, so good. So both GHD tools we'll be using today. What I really just want to show is the technique is going to be the exact same, but how you can cater that and change it depending on which tool you have. Some of you might have the choice between the two. Then I just want to show you maybe why you'd pick the curling iron over the flat iron, or maybe why you pick the flat iron over the curling iron. I hope that makes sense. Let's just get into it. To prep my hair, I'm going in with a real OG product. This brought back real nostalgia for me. I recently got sent it by Paul Mitchell. I used to use this product when I worked in the salon years ago, but I use this product loads on all of my clients, and it is called the Flexible Style Hot Off the Press. It's a thermal protection spray. It's an aerosol spray. It's just designed to literally go into dry hair before you curl the hair, before you wave the hair. So it's just so easy to use, and I remember clients used to love it. It's such a good one, and now I'm back on the hype again. So just spraying that all throughout my hair, literally just to make sure that it's protected from heat. I blow dried it yesterday, so it's already got all my other products in, like a blow dry cream, my leave-in conditioner and oil. So yeah, today I'm literally just going to focus on protecting the hair, that extra layer of protection again, and then just give that a brush through. I'm really loving using Dyson paddle brush. Ordered the air straight, that's my previous video if you haven't already seen that one, but then this actually just gets sent complimentary, completely free. But it's such a nice brush to use. The handle's like really heavy. You think, how can you like a paddle brush so much? And you really can. It's a really good paddle brush. So brush that through just to make sure it's all evenly distributed, and then we're going to section. Index fingers at the tops of the ears, and then I'll just draw a line backwards, and then just clip everything else up and out of the way. Just going to spray a bit more also in each section just to make sure I've definitely got these underneath sections protected and covered. Let's start off with our curling iron side, only because I feel like once you've got the technique down with the curling iron, it makes it so much more clearer what you're doing with the flat iron then, if that makes sense. So all the sections we take, they're not going to be any wider or any bigger than like 2 inches, because we don't want a section too chunky that it's going to spill out of our curling iron. So this silver part, we call that the arm. Open your arm, and just a really good tip, you always want to make sure the arm is pointing towards your mirror. So point that towards your mirror, and then that just kind of helps you know how many rotations you've done. So arm is pointing towards our mirror, and then we are closing that hair, and as soon as the arm's closed down, you want to get a full rotation. So that part you want to work fairly quickly, only because if the hair's pulled straight and then you're closing like the arm down on it, that's where you get those indentation marks. And then what we do, once it's got one full wrap and full rotation round, we are unhooking underneath. So it's got one full wrap and rotation, we unhook underneath, and then you're gliding down, and yeah, repeating that until you're working off the ends of the hair. So you can see it really keeps that elongated length. You're not making the hair kind of jump up too much. It's quite a skinny, compact curl, which when it's stressed out, it turns into a wave. So a new section of hair, arm pointing towards your mirror, you're coming up and underneath, close, straight away get that full rotation in. And you know it's a full rotation because the silver part of the arm is pointing towards the mirror again. Unhook underneath, you almost think of it like you're drawing a little mini circle. Straight away you get that full rotation, so silver part's back facing towards your mirror. Unhook underneath, so you're kind of gliding down as you're then wrapping and creating that full rotation back around the iron. Unhook, and depending on how long your hair is, you literally just keep going until you reach and kind of glide off the ends, and it almost finishes on like quite a nice straight, which is why I really like this technique. So when it gets towards the ends, there's almost no wrap around the barrel, and you just glide off, and it just creates that nice straight end, which is kind of what makes it more of like a wave. So now we're going to go back to our first original section on the opposite side. I'm going to do pretty much the exact same technique but with our flat iron and show you then how that works. I always like to take the logo, have it pointing towards your mirror. Again, that helps you know how much you've kind of wrapped around. So logo pointing towards our mirror, we're coming up and underneath, and it's pointing, yeah, kind of the tip of the straightener, the flat iron is pointing upwards. You're going to close the hair within the plates and then straight away get that one full wrap around. So you see that's only half a wrap. That's one full wrap. Almost you need the flat iron in this case slightly pointing on like a diagonal. One full wrap around, and you see how the flat iron's pointing like that rather than, I guess, directly upwards. But literally the exact same. Look at that. So very, very similar. I think the only difference, I almost feel like I get a slightly tighter result with my flat iron, and I think it's because the hair is like sandwiched between the two plates. You've almost got a little bit more grip to it, I'd say. I guess wrapping it around, that's like a chunkier width with your flat iron. So I actually feel like you almost get a slightly chunkier, more rounded curl when you do this technique with your flat iron. Also, I guess just holding your curling iron completely vertically, you're able to drag it down and keep it more elongated, slightly diagonally. You're pulling it out just ever so slightly, which also is going to help make it slightly tighter or more rounded. But let me repeat the exact same thing on my next section. So our next section up, just make sure you've tossed like this hair backwards, because we only want to be working, again, like I said, sections that are not too big, like 2 inches wide. Logo pointing towards our mirror just so we can double check how many turns we've done in the hair. Up and underneath, close the plate straight away, one full turn. And then just make sure that hair's popping out and poking out the other side. You probably want to glide down just a little bit so you've got room to unhook underneath. And then glide down again. Unhook underneath. Glide down. Unhook underneath. And then, yeah, again, on the ends with the flat iron, you're finishing off without, the hair almost isn't wrapped around fully on the ends. I'd say it is still slightly a bit more curlier, that end, rather than slightly more straight on the curling iron end. But yeah, you can actually see now they've built up, and I've done 2 on each side, the difference. This flat iron side, a bit more bouncy, and you can see we've bounced up and lost a bit of length, and the curling iron, we're able to keep it nice and elongated. So as we're working up the head, I'm taking each kind of new section, a new row, and that's been split into 2 for 2 separate curls. And then all of these curls on this side are going away from the face, so that's just something also you want to factor in when you're styling, which direction the curls are going in. And just to keep this tutorial a bit easier and have something, just one less thing to kind of think about, I'm going away from the face on both sides. When that tong or the flat iron has gone in, you close and you're literally just turning away from the face. That's the only way I can literally think to describe it, but I think some people get a bit flustered and they're like, oh, which way am I going? So yeah, you're going away from the face, and then the unhooking bit, I always say unhook underneath, because also some people get confused with the unhooking and then they're like, oh, which way am I going? Literally imagine unhook underneath and you're drawing like tiny little circles in the hair. If you're really struggling with this technique, start with the styler completely turned off and practice just literally that movement on your hair with the tool off. There's no heat or anything. Or even just kind of hold your curling iron or flat iron in the mirror and literally just practice. Okay, so it's in the hair. I've done 1 full turn, and then what I'm going to do is unhook underneath and almost just practice, I guess, the motion and the movement without it even in your hair. I think you just need to get into your mind what the routine and the movement is. When it all pieces together and it all clicks, you're like, oh my god, I've literally got it. Some flat irons are quite like rectangular in shape, if you know what I mean. Like the casing is very square and they kind of have sharp edges. That's the only thing I'd say with doing this technique. If your flat iron is quite rectangular and it's quite sharp edges, you will sometimes with these curling techniques, you will get like straight dents in the hair. Yeah, if you can manage to get yourself a flat iron which has got, I guess, more like a rounded body and then rounded edges. So you can see with the GHD, edges of the plates are actually really rounded themselves. There's no like harsh line, so it does make it super easy to kind of create curl shapes without any indentation into the hair. Also guys, just make sure you comment down below and let me know what videos you want to see from me. So any specific like hair tips, hair styling tutorials, because yeah, I do these videos every single week, and then I look through my comments also every single week just to see what people actually want to see. So yeah, make sure you comment down below on this video what you would love like my next few videos to be and what you would want them to include. And I'm just going to continue repeating this exact same technique, and I'm just going to finish the hair on both sides, alternating between the two, doing then the flat iron and then the curling iron, and then we'll show you the end results. Okay, so we have flat iron results and flat iron side, then we have curling iron side, and yeah, you can definitely tell curling iron side is just a little bit skinnier, almost just skinnier and more condensed. A couple things that I just thought of whilst I was styling that I just want to mention. It's probably one of the my most asked questions. If your hair is getting stuck as you're styling with the flat iron, you're grabbing too tight, so try and hold your flat iron more down here rather than so close here where you've almost got too much grip and too much control. I guess you can't really grip too hard with the curling iron, so the only other thing, you might have too much product on your hair where it's making it sticky, or you might need to clean your tools. And I was actually just thinking that with mine, to be fair, these two need a bit of a clean. For me, it gets like where I've actually got like hairspray or products actually on my fingers, then I touch my tool. So wait till your tools are completely cool and off, and then the best way to clean, I like to use a baby wipe, like an antibacterial baby wipe, or even you can literally just get a cotton bud and do like some micellar water or even just warm water, and then make sure obviously they're fully dry before you use them again. Other thing I wanted to mention, because I noticed it almost at the start, it glides through super well, and I'm so used to doing it I can literally just do it with one hand now. I do notice that when it gets towards the ends, and I guess there's less hair in the ends because the ends are finer, it might have a stronger grip on the ironing, almost you don't want to pull your hair. So what I do tend to do towards the ends, where I feel like it's maybe not just completely effortlessly gliding through, I will ever so slightly like put my hand on this lever to relieve like a little bit of tension, so then it glides through. So I find I do that more towards the ends. Which technique do I find easier? I mean, it completely depends which one I think you just use a lot more. This with the curling iron is like my go-to styling technique. I just love the look that it gives. I personally love a really loose, effortless look, so I go for this so much. I find this super easy. But then yeah, if you were doing this technique with your flat iron all the time, I think you'd find it super easy. I feel like maybe just because the flat iron is designed to be open and you've got to work on keeping it closed, maybe that is just requires a little bit more constant pressure on the tool, and yeah, thinking about that more. But yeah, either way, I think whichever tool that you're using and you're using that all the time, over time, yeah, you're just going to find either of them super easy. So what we're going to do now, just wait like 5 more minutes for this hair to completely cool, and that's because, yeah, if I start dressing it out now or kind of doing too much to it whilst the hair's still warm, the hair's still malleable whilst it's still warm, which means we can still kind of form and create a shape. So if we start pulling it out and running our fingers through it too early whilst it's still warm, the curls are just going to be too loose and they're going to drop. So let's just give it 5 more minutes before we dress out and then see the final results. I'm going to dress both sides out the same using a wide tooth comb, and then one of my favourite hairsprays, the Hair Ritual by Sizzly. It's just a super nice lightweight hairspray. And then what you want to do is separate, kind of hold up these sections and just gently comb through each like layer and section of hair. And then the exact same on this side. And there you go, these are our 2 different sides. So as you can see, same curling technique, but we do look different from the different tools. So maybe some of you might say, oh, it's barely a difference, like it's a very subtle difference. It's kind of like, I mean, I can definitely tell the difference, but then again, I'm a hairstylist. It's one of those things, if you have an eye for it, you can see the difference. So I guess what are the differences? I feel like curling iron side is more defined. So there's almost more wave and more definition to it. Whereas, yeah, I feel like you can see it's less defined on the flat iron side, but almost kind of maybe starting a bit not as high up. Maybe. I feel like the flat iron side is just softer, kind of all melting together. I just feel like we've just got a little bit more definition on this curling iron side. Personally, on my hair, curling iron side with this technique lasts really well and lasts better. Whereas I feel like, yeah, flat iron does drop. And I think just some areas could be maybe slightly a little bit inconsistent with the flat iron side, only because you're going so by the movement. Every single section and every single piece of hair on this flat iron side has literally got to be the exact same way you're like wrapping it round and rotating it and holding it on for. So there's kind of more variables on this flat iron side, I will say that. But there we go. Let me know if you guys are going to try out this technique, and then which tool you're going to use. Is it curling iron? Is it straightener? Let me know which side you guys prefer. And as usual, if you like this video, if you learned anything new, then please, I'd really appreciate if you give it a thumbs up. And as I mentioned earlier, subscribe, because I post videos like this every single week. And if you do, I'll be seeing you next week for another hair video. Bye guys.